Hello everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Decade. My name is Decade, and in this video we are going to finish our transitions. So in the last video I went over all of the scripts that we need to create in order to make this work. And in this video we're actually going to put those to the test. But before we begin, make sure you give this video a big old thumbs up at the end if you liked it, and if it was helpful for you. It does help me out, and I do appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe, as I have videos like this coming out all the time, and I don't want you to miss anything. And it also helps me out, and again, I do appreciate it. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. So, in order to put this into practice, what we're going to need to do is create another scene. So in the last video, I handed you all a little bit of a challenge, and that was to create a scene. If you did, great. If you didn't, well, we can do one together real fast right now. So, in our test house, the first thing we're going to do is add a camera. So we're going to right click, go to Send Machine, go to Targeted Cameras, and then go to 2D Camera. And then we'll just name this one House Camera. So orthographic size, you want to make that 6. Everything else we'll just put 0, 0, 0 for now. And we should be good for now. Oh, wait, no, I forgot we need to add the Sim Machine 2D Confiner 2D, although this room I'm going to make is not going to be all that big, but we still want to do that anyway. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create an empty, and we're just going to call this room house. And we're going to add a component to it, and we're going to add the room script. And we're also going to add a polygon collider 2D. And then the camera, we're just going to drop the camera there. All this other stuff we're going to leave. Oh, we can name it the house. And there we go. And now we need to edit this polygon collider. Let's go to points. We're going to make it 4 points. And, oh boy, let me see here. Give me a second, I'm looking up my notes. Okay. So this should be -11, 6. That doesn't look right. Why doesn't it look right? Oh, that's because that's not 0, 0. Okay, 11, 6. 11, -6. -11, -6. And that still doesn't look right. Why does this not look right? Let's go to our house camera. Orthographic size is 6. Camera distance 10. That's weird. Well, anyway, we're going to make this bigger. What is it? -13? Yeah. 13, 13, -13. Not sure why the camera outline is not the same as my test one, but nonetheless, you want to make that polygon just slightly bigger than the camera area. Then we're going to right click, we're going to go to 2D object, tile map, rectangular. We'll call this one ground. And then we're going to right click on grid, 2D object, tile map, rectangular, call this one collisions. And then for the collisions, we need to add a rigid body, not a regular rigid body. Rigid body 2D, make that static. We need to add a tile map collider, and we need to make the composition merge. And then we need a composite collider. And then the composite collider, we don't need to do anything with that. So then there we go. All right. So now what we need to do is we need to pull up our, and I don't know where it is, tile palette. And we need to go to ground right over here, and we need to click create new tile palette. We'll name this one House Interior. Rectangle, all that other stuff should be good. So hit create. It's going to ask where to save it to. We want to save it to, did I not have, I guess I didn't have a specific place to save it, so I guess we could just save it to sprites. Tile palette, there we go. And hit select folder. And what we're going to do now is go to our sprites, go to our world, and you should see an interior 2, interior 3, a whole bunch of different interiors. For now, we're just going to use interior 2. We can come back to interior 3 later. We want to click on this. Before we drag it over here, if we didn't already do this, we want to change pixels per unit to 16, filter mode to point no filter, and normal quality compression to none. Hit apply. Then we want to open the sprite editor, slice, grid by cell size, 16 by 16, hit slice, and apply. And then close it. And now I can drag that over here. And it's going to ask us again, where do we want to put it? We're going to go to assets. We'll go to sprites, tile palettes, and select folder. There we go. And now we can build an interior. I'm going to do this really, really quickly because that's not the purpose of this video. Yeah. So we're going to put a corner there, a corner there, corner there, corner there. We're just going to drag that across there, and drag that there, and that there. Then we'll put a corner there, a corner there. Drag that there, drag that there. And we're just going to get this whole thing right there. And just go up. Go across like that. Come on, stop doing that. We'll do small sections. How about that? There we go. And then we'll switch over to ground. And we'll give it this yellow floor. Why not? All right. Boom, boom. So there's our interior. It's nothing fancy, nothing special, but there it is. While we're here, we can start putting some of the things that we've already done to practice. So what we want to do now is we want to click on, in the hierarchy, right click and go to create empty, and we'll put spawn point. Then we'll add the spawn point on, and then we'll go to house 1. So we're going to double click on that spawn point. We're going to click on this little move tool, and we're going to move the spawn point to 0 and then negative 3.5. So our player will spawn right here. Now you might be saying, well, why don't you want to spawn the player right here? Well, you're going to see here in a minute, this is where I'm going to put the transition back out to the main world. And if we spawn the player here, as soon as the player spawns in, it'll hit that transition and then spawn right back into the main world. So you want to put your spawn point close. If you have another transition trigger nearby, you want to put the spawn point close to that, but not close enough where the player will accidentally hit it as soon as they spawn in. And you also don't want to put it right on top of one of those triggers, or else as soon as you spawn, you'll just trigger right back to the overworld or whatever room or wherever you initially came from. So it's a good idea to have a little bit of a buffer space. And speaking of that trigger, we're going to do create empty, and we're going to put spawn trigger. We're going to put that right about there, negative 5.5. Here, though, we are going to add a box collider 2D. Make sure you make it a trigger. And then we're just going to expand it so it covers this entire space. And then just to give a slight little leeway, just in case the player's riding the wall or anything like that, we'll just come down to right about there. And then we're going to add our scene transition trigger. So here's where we're going to get a little crazy because we might have to jump back and forth. So target scene name, it has to match one of these or any other scenes that you have. So since we're already in test house, we want this to be test scene. And destination spawn ID, we haven't set that up yet, but I'm just going to name it from house 1. And again, if you've watched any of my old videos, I kind of harped on it a little bit on some of my newer videos, but naming, capitalization, and all that stuff is extremely important. Because if you notice here, I have from house 1 and from and house is capitalized. When we go to the test scene and we actually add the spawn point in, if it doesn't match this, ignore my phone. If it doesn't match this, it will not work. So it has to match letter for letter, number for number, symbol to symbol, capitalization, and all that stuff. It has to match 20,000%, or else it will not work. But now that we have those two things, we're actually done in here. Yeah, we can build the scene a little bit more, but we'll worry about that some other time. Right now, I just want to show you the scene transitions. So you see this little asterisk up here. That means there's been changes to the scene, and we need to save it. If you double click on house without saving it, or test scene, it's going to pop up saying, hey, scenes have been modified. Do you want to save? So you can just do that too and hit yes. So now in our overworld, we need to make a couple changes. So the first thing I want to do is make the player a prefab. So you should already have a prefab folder. Just click your player, drag, and drop. This is going to come in handy later down the road, but I want to get out of the way now. We'll cover prefabs some other time, but for now, this is all we need to do. Then we want to go to our grid, and we want to go to our collisions. And we want to click on our eraser. There it is. We want to erase that one right there. And what we're going to do now is actually go to our room 00. We're going to right click. We're going to create an empty, and we're going to put scene transition. We'll put, yeah, that should fit. So scene transitions. There we go. Now, even though we're only going to have one transition for now, we might add more later. So now we're going to right click on scene transitions, and we're going to create a 2D object sprite. No, we're just going to create an empty. We'll create an empty, and we'll name this to house. So what we want to do is we want to move that transition to roughly the middle. Now, if you don't drag it perfectly to the middle, that's no big deal. We can just do negative 10.5, and then 6.5 is actually the middle of that tile. So if you made yours exactly like mine, then you want those numbers to match up. Oh, dear God. Sorry, ignore my phone. Anyway, you want those numbers to match up exactly to mine if you've made your map look exactly like mine. If not, then you want these numbers to be whatever 0.5 and whatever 0.5 on your grid. Essentially, you want it the center of this square. So what we're going to do now is, where it says add component, we are going to add a sprite renderer, and it's looking for a sprite. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a world, we're going to go to our overworld, and we are going to find that door we erased earlier. And where are you? For me, it's right here. It's Overworld 197. So we're just going to click and drag and drop that where it says sprite here. I'm just going to drop it there. Now you're going to notice that it kind of went behind there. So sorting layer, for now we're just going to go player, and then order and layer, we're just going to do -1. And if you lined up the empty in the middle of that square, then this will fill in perfectly fine, and you won't have any issues. If you do notice a bit of a gap, that means your numbers are off a little bit and you need to make some changes. But nonetheless, that's what you want to do. And then we want to add component, and we want to do a scene transition trigger. We also want to add a box collider, 2D. So the target scene is going to be, let's go to our scenes here. Our target scene is going to be test house, and the spawn ID is going to be 2 house 1. And the box collider we want to make a little bit smaller. We want to kind of go right there. That's going to be the actual trigger, and make sure it is a trigger. And there we go. Now all we need to do out here is right click on your room, go to create empty, and hit spawn points. Now right click on a spawn point, and then create another empty, and then put from house. And then we are going to grab that, and we'll put it -10.5, 4.5, you know what? Yeah, that should be good. So we'll put it right there. And then we're going to add the spawn point script to it, and we're just going to put from house 1. I believe that's what we have. Let me just switch over to the test house. Sorry, I'm still dealing with distractions. Anyway, we want to make sure that these are definitely the names. So the spawn point is 2 house 1, and the spawn trigger is from house 1. So if we go over to the test scene again, we want our scene transition to say 2 house 1, and our spawn point to say from house 1. Perfect. So the one other thing that we need to do is first clear this error. It's driving me crazy. There we go. We want to go up to File, Build Profiles. And you see here Scene List. It has just the test scene in it. So we want to open the source list, or the scene list, I should say. And then we want to click and drag the test house to that box. And we want to make sure it's there. Now that all of that is done, and assuming I didn't miss anything, and assuming I didn't mess anything up, we should be good to go. So we'll hit play here. And we are going to go to the house and walk into it. And there we go. Something's messed up. What's messed up? Where is our player? Oh, I know what's messed up. So on the player, we forgot to add our player persistence. So all we need to do is really add that. Now let's try that again. Enter the scene, and something is still messed up. Oh, it put the, oh, I know why I did that. So let's save. Let's go back to our test house. Let's go to our room. And remember we made that polygon collider? And we forgot to make it a trigger. So now that that's all said and done, Let's save this, go back to our test scene, hit play, and now everything, hopefully at this point, should be good to go. So let's walk over to the house. Boom. And something is still messed up. What is messed up? It's still putting the player outside. Why is it putting the player out there? I can still move the player. Did it not save it as a trigger? Hold on here. Let's go to room 1-1, scene transition, to house transition, to house 1. Okay. So let's go to our test house. Let's go to our spawn point, spawn ID to house 1. Did I accidentally make the ground collision as well? No. The ground shouldn't have any collisions to it whatsoever, so... Let's go back to the room. That's a trigger like it's supposed to be. Spawn point to house 1. Oh my god, I know what I did. Alright, so let's go to back to our test scene. Let's make a... let's rename Game Manager here to just Managers. Add... Scene Spawn Manager. We forgot to add that in there. So what it was doing is it was spawning the player in the exact same location that it was in the scene. So without adding that in, that's what caused the problem. So now, now hopefully we should be good to go. So let's see what happens. Boom. There we go. So we're in here, but we forgot to add the restraints for the camera. But we'll do that here in a second. Let's just make sure we transition back, and there we go. And that is how we do that. Now let's just fix that one little thing because it's going to drive me crazy. Let's go in the test house. Let's go to the house camera. And we added this, but we never confined it. So now that we're confining it, let's double check to make sure that works. Oh, I started in the wrong scene. So that's actually a good point. Anytime you hit play up here, it is going to start you in whatever scene you're in. Now, because we have a persistent player, we don't have a player added to the scene. But because we made the player a prefab, we can drag and drop the player into a scene if we just want to test that specific scene. So I'm not going to do that because that's not the point of this video. But nonetheless, there's that for you. So let's go back to our test scene. Let's hit play. And let's just make sure one last time that our scene transitions work. Boom, there we go. Our camera is fixed to this room and it is not going anywhere no matter what we do. Perfect. And let's see if we transition back out of here. Boom, there we go. So that is how you do scene transitions. Obviously, there's some more that we could do, like adding a title, adding a load screen, adding a whole bunch of different things. But I just wanted to get the basic stuff out of the way. The way I'm going to be doing this series from this point forward is I'm going to be adding things and not worried about polishing. When we get enough to be able to completely make a game, then we can worry about polish. Adding things like, you know, a little title that pops up whenever you transition into the house or whatever the case may be. That's what I mean by polish. But for now, we have a working scene transition and we have a working camera with working rooms. So now that all of that is out of the way, I'm going to work on NPCs next. And then eventually we're going to get to the fun stuff by adding attack animations and enemies and things like that. So if that's what you're looking forward to, be patient, it's coming. But we are going to work on NPCs next. But that's it for this video, so I'm going to end it here. If you liked the video and if it was helpful and you learned anything, make sure you give it the big old thumbs up. I do appreciate it. As always, I'm going to tell you to subscribe if you haven't already. as I have videos like this coming out all the time, and I don't want you to miss anything. And it does help me out, and again, I do appreciate it. But with that, as always, thank you. Have a good one. And I'll see you in the next video.